Hi, guys, and welcome back to Practical and Healing Applications of A Course in Miracles with me, Anna Rebecca Quinn. Thank you for joining this broadcast. I like that, broadcast. And thanks for tuning in. And if you want to support this, then like, share, and subscribe. And thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. I hope this is helpful. As always, in this particular class, we're reading from A Course in Miracles. The purpose of it is just like the name, the practical and healing applications of A Course in Miracles. So this is about reading A Course in Miracles, seeing if we can understand what it's saying, and then applying it as the book itself, the curriculum itself, instructs us to do. So that's what this is about. Hearing A Course in Miracles and then using the ideas. Because remember, the Course in Miracles tells us you don't need to understand or believe or accept these ideas. It's the use of these ideas that will show you, demonstrate to you that they are true. So just remember that as we go through this, that you don't need to understand them or believe them or accept them, but that if you will use them, you will see that they are true, and you will experience the miracles that do come from the application of these ideas. This curriculum is not called A Course in Miracles for nothing. It really is a curriculum in ideas that produce miracles. So wonderful. Hello, DR. Lovely to see you. Thank you, guys. Let me know if you can see me okay and hear me okay. I am going to see if I can find myself on my Facebook page and check the privacy. Okay, I don't see me yet. All righty. Okay, wonderful. Okay, guys, I am going to start off with a little bit of opening meditation using one of the poem prayer pieces in my latest book, Declaration of Independence for the New Earth. It's a beautiful book for the healing and the liberation of mankind from fear. And so I'm going to turn on a little bit of music, and this is going to be our opening meditation. So let me get my music. So if you are able to, and you are not driving a car or operating heavy machinery, then feel free to close your eyes and just listen. Wonderful. So I'm going to be reading from here for our opening meditation. This is titled Prayer for My Daily Bread. My Creator, who art in the heaven within me, perfect is your love. Thy loving will be done on earth as in the shining realms beyond. I give you this day and this precious moment too, that I might accept my daily bread, that manna which is your word, that carries me through all my trials and sustains me in all my needs, real and imagined. Help me forgive my fearful misperceptions and all their subsequent miscreations as I forgive others for theirs. Use my hands to heal the children of your love, and tune my ears to hear their plaintive cry for your loving care, that they could see through my open eyes. I am yours as I belong to you, and you are mine as I came from you. That was prayer for my daily bread from my latest book, Declaration of Independence for the New Earth, available on Amazon. All right, guys. Wonderful. I see a bunch of new folks in here, and that's wonderful. Hi, Gamer and Memphis Mitchum and CJ and Leilani and Tyler. All right. Beautiful. You have this one too? Oh, that's wonderful. Okay. So where we're going to be studying from today is we are in A Course in Miracles. This is a Course in Miracles class, and we are in the part of the Course in Miracles curriculum called the Teacher's Manual. And the Teacher's Manual is a series of 29 questions that come up for people as they are studying A Course in Miracles and as they are sharing these ideas with others. A Course in Miracles tells us in this book that to learn something, whether it's to learn healing or to learn love or to learn forgiveness, it comes from teaching it. That's what A Course in Miracles teaches us. So in order to learn love, what is healing, what is power? The Course in Miracles teaches us that we learn to teach it so that we can learn how to accept it for ourselves. All right. So beautiful. Hello, all these amazing new folks in the chat. Lovely to see you guys. All right. So if you have your Course in Miracles book and you would like to follow along, then we are in the Teacher's Manual and we are in question number 10. And the title is, How is Judgment Relinquished? Okay. How is judgment relinquished? Now, why in the world would anybody want to relinquish judgment? Well, Course in Miracles has a lot to say about judgment. And the Course in Miracles says that from our judgments come all of our suffering and all the ills of the world. Okay? So the Course in Miracles also calls judgment the weapon that we use against ourselves to keep miracles away from ourselves. So that's what judgment does. It brings on all the suffering, all the ills of the world. Judgment is a weapon that we are using against ourselves to keep miracles of love and peace and joy away from ourselves. Because if we weren't judging what reality is, if we weren't judging the reality of other people as we see fit in the moment, then we would be experiencing only the reality that is, the reality that was established by the author of reality, God, who is love. And we would be experiencing only the eternal, lasting peace and joy and abundance that is the nature of reality. So if we weren't judging things as we would have them be, according to our unstable scales of desire, then we would be experiencing only the reality of lasting peace, lasting joy, and abundance that was established by the author of reality. So from our judgment come all the ills of the world. Our judgment is a weapon we're using against ourselves to keep miracles away. So this curriculum is about how to let go of our judgments, of how we think things should be and how people should be, so that we can experience things the way they really are, which is abundant, loving, eternal. All right, so that's what we're going to talk about today. I love it. Lindsay says, peace and joy and abundance. Yes. All right. All right. Tyler asks if I do a light code meditation. Oh, you could call it that. All right. Beautiful. So Course in Miracles. Course in Miracles is not an Eckhart book. Course in Miracles is a curriculum that was channeled. Let me see if I have a copy of it to show you. So A Course in Miracles is a channeled book. It was scribed by Helen Schuckman. And it's a course in miracles. It's a course in how to experience reality as it is, not as you have judged it to be or learned it to be in the past. And remember, I was saying earlier that according to A Course in Miracles, reality is created by love, and reality is an experience of only love, lasting joy, a lasting peace, and lasting abundance for everyone. Reality is only loving, reality is only loving forever, and only abundant for everyone forever. That's the nature of reality according to A Course in Miracles. A Course in Miracles says the nature of reality is wholly and completely fulfilling for everyone. It's wholly satisfying. And anything that we're experiencing that's not wholly satisfying, that doesn't produce lasting peace and joy and abundance for everyone, is not reality. It's our illusions, it's our projections, it's at what we have made up through our judgments. All right. So we're going to hear today about how to relinquish, let go of our own judgments of how everything should be according to our unstable scales of desire, so that we can experience the true nature of reality, which is wholly satisfying. Okay? And also remember that Course in Miracles tells us, because these ideas are true, you don't have to believe them. You don't have to believe these ideas for them to be true. What's true is not dependent on whether you believe it or not. Gravity is not true only if you believe in it. Love is true whether you believe in it or not. So, and the Course in Miracles says that reality is that which is true for everyone in all space and time. And the only thing that is blocking our awareness of reality and its wholly satisfying nature to everyone is our judgments, our made up beliefs that we have learned from the past, from people who did not know the loving truth themselves. All right. So, okay, here we go. All right. The title of this is How to Relinquish. How is Judgment Relinquished? It says, judgment, I'll put this right here. It says, judgment, like the other devices by which the world of illusions is maintained, is totally misunderstood by the world. So first thing we're hearing here is that judgment is a device. It's something we're using that we maintain the world of suffering with. Judgment, our judgments on how we think things should be and how things should go and what things mean, our judgments are devices that we are maintaining the world of illusions, the world of pain and suffering. Judgment is a device by which we are keeping our own suffering going. Because if we weren't judging and we were accepting reality as it is, as it was established by love, then we could not be suffering. So we're maintaining our own suffering by the device of our judgments. What am I suffering from? My own judgments. What am I suffering from? The judgments of others. That's what I'm suffering from. And what are judgments? My made up perceptions and beliefs, or the perceptions and beliefs that I learned in the past from people who didn't know the truth about themselves. They didn't know the truth about reality. Now, in this world of illusions, this world of pain and suffering, judgment is actually confused with wisdom. In this world, judgment is confused with wisdom. Okay? And it says, and in this world, not only does judgment substitute for wisdom, not only is it confused with wisdom, but judgment in this world substitutes for truth. See, as the world uses the term judgment, an individual is capable of, quote, good and, quote, bad judgment. And in this world, people's education aims at strengthening good, so-called good judgment and minimizing, quote, bad judgment. That's what goes for education in this world. Increasing, strengthening your so-called good judgment and minimizing your so-called a bad judgment. That's what goes for education here. There is, however, considerable confusion about what these categories, good judgment and bad judgment, mean. For instance, what is so-called good judgment to one person is bad judgment to another person. Further, even the same person classifies the same action as showing, quote, good judgment at one time and so-called bad judgment at another time. Nor can any consistent criteria for determining what these categories of good and bad judgment be really taught. At any time, the student may disagree with what their would-be teacher says about them, and the teacher themselves is inconsistent in what the teacher believes about what's good judgment and what's bad judgment. All right? All right. Greg says, our judgments is a tool we use to keep our experiences from having peace. Exactly. Beautiful. Joel says, I'm new here. What is ACIM? Maybe Greg can make a quick comment about what the Course in Miracles is. So it sounds like we got a lot of folks in the chat room who are not familiar with the Course in Miracles. But Course in Miracles is a curriculum for the healing of our minds so that our minds might be restored to peace and sanity. That's what A Course in Miracles is about. It's about the healing of our minds and the recognition that our minds are the decision mechanism that is deciding how our lives go. And so it's about healing our minds of fear and shame and guilt, that we might have a life that is full of only joy and peace and abundance. That's what, in a nutshell, what A Course in Miracles is about. All right. And DR is telling you, Joel, welcome. Beautiful. Okay, here we go. So paragraph 2, what's called so-called good judgment in these terms doesn't mean anything, nor no more does bad judgment. And so it's necessary for us to realize not that we should not judge, but that we cannot judge. So here we're being told that it's not that you shouldn't judge. You know, you've always heard, judge not lest you be not judged, right? You heard that? You shouldn't judge. This is saying not that you shouldn't judge. That's not nice. This is saying, the truth be told, you cannot judge. You don't know enough to judge correctly. And so in giving up judgment, you merely give up what you did not have. That's what it's telling us, that it's not about doing the right thing and don't judge so that you don't be judged. This is telling you that you should relinquish judgment because you cannot judge. You don't know enough to judge accurately. All right. Now, then it says, and so when you are relinquishing judgment, when you're giving up judgment because you don't know enough to judge accurately, then really what you're doing is you're just giving up an illusion, or better, you just have an illusion of giving something up. So we see, but the truth is that when you relinquish judgment, where I don't know enough to judge, I don't know enough to judge here. When you do that, when you relinquish judgment, the truth is that you are actually merely becoming more honest. That's what's really going on. You're becoming more honest. That's all that's happening, right? Okay, is judgment is coming from your belief that you are the author of reality, and that you are the author of that person, that you know enough about that person to judge them accurately. So the Course in Miracles is saying, so that when you're judging, when you're assuming the right to interpret somebody else's reality as you see fit, when you are judging them, that you are being dishonest. And it's only us assuming the right to interpret somebody else's reality as we see fit. It's only that act that is bringing suffering into our experience, because we are assuming, we are acting like we are the author of reality. That's what you're implying when you judge the reality of others or the reality of yourself. You're implying that you know enough about that person to judge, and you're also implying, insinuating that you are the author of reality and things are the way you want them to be. And the Course in Miracles says that we judge things to be according to how we wish they were, how we want them to be. So there are no unbiased judgments. All of our judgments, none of them are neutral. None of them are unbiased. All of our judgments are coming from what we want to be true. And ultimately, all of our judgments are coming from what ultimately we believe we are. So if we're judging another as unloving, unlovable, bad, wrong, guilty, etc., Course in Miracles says we're only judging them to be that, because secretly that's the way we believe. That's what we believe about ourselves. That's the nature of judgment. All right. Beautiful. And thank you, Sir Jay. Beautiful. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Greg, for putting in the note about A Course in Miracles. All right. Now, when you give up judgment, realizing that, hey, I'm not the author of reality. I didn't create that person. I didn't even create myself. And I don't know enough to judge this person. You're just merely becoming more honest. You are recognizing that judgment was always impossible for you to do. And so you no longer attempt judgment. And when you stop judging, when you stop attempting to judge whom you didn't create and what you don't really know about in truth, then he says that is no sacrifice. It's not a sacrifice to give up judgment. It is not a sacrifice to give up your judgment. And on the contrary, when you give up judgment, you've put yourself in a position where judgment through you rather than by you can occur. So that's the goal here, is that I stop making judgments myself about what this means, who they are, what they should be doing, what they're doing wrong, what they should be doing differently. And I stop judging the motivations of other people. When I stop doing that, then now a loving judgment through me can happen. And when I'm not trying to judge for myself, then love's verdict can come through me. If I'm not trying to judge them and that in that situation as I see fit, then now love can interpret through me for that person, for that situation. All right. Wonderful. I need to turn off something here. Let's turn this off. All right, let's do that. And let me see if I can find this class on my Facebook page. And possibly, there we go. And let me do this. All right. Now you might be able to see me on Facebook. All right. So, okay, I should have done that earlier, but that's all right. I'm not gonna judge. Okay. Beautiful. Now, all right. Now, when you are allowing love's judgment to come through you, which is going to feel oh so much better coming through you, and it's only going to produce love and miracles, then when you are allowing love's judgment to come through you, I don't know the truth about this person. I didn't create that person. I don't know the truth about this person, this situation. But love, what do you say? What's your word about this person, about this situation? When that kind of judgment is coming through you, love's judgment, that's not a judgment of good or bad. Love's judgment is the only judgment there is. And love's word on this person or this situation is this. And when you allow love's judgment to come through you, because you're not making your own judgments, love's judgment is only one. And love's one judgment is this: God's children are guiltless and sin does not exist. That's what love says. That's what the author of reality says about everyone and everything, including you, all the time. That's love's one judgment for everyone and everything all the time. There's your judgment, and notice how your judgments are not only loving. Usually your judgments, my judgments, are always for what needs to change for you to be happy, how they should be different, how this isn't good enough, how they should be different for you to be happy. Our judgments are not only loving, they're almost always how something is wrong, how it's not right, how it's not good enough, how it needs to be different for you to be happy. Okay? That's what our judgments are about, right? Now, love is also assessing everyone and everything going on, and love only has one judgment that love applies to everyone and everything forever, no exceptions. Love doesn't see the differences you see. Love sees everyone and everything as the same, guiltless, now and forever. And love's judgment, sin does not exist. Wow. That's how love is judging the situation. That's how love is judging them. That's how love is judging you. That's how love is judging everything that's happening, everything that you're looking at. All right. So we've heard in the first two paragraphs that our judgments are meaningless, and that our judgments are based on good and bad, right and wrong, according to our mood and our unstable scales of desire in the moment. So that's what we're judging according to. Is this good for me right now? If not, it's bad. Is this good? If I think this is good for me right now, then I think it's good. And that's always changing. So our judgments, good, bad, right, wrong, are completely meaningless because we don't know enough to judge, and the basis on which we're judging is completely meaningless. Good and bad, right and wrong. The love's judgment is this: you and everyone is guiltless. You, them, they, everyone, they are guiltless, and sin does not exist. Now, all of our judgments are based on the false belief in guilt. Our judgments are based on the lie, the false belief that sin not only exists, but it's more real than love, or that it's more powerful than love. That's what our judgments are based on. All of our judgments, which means all of our interpretations of what's going on, are based on a lie that we have learned from way, 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 way back. And the lie that we have learned from way, 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 way back is that sin is real, and that the children of God, which means everyone, are guilty. You know, our religions tell us that we're born in sin. So our religions are based on the idea that sin is real. And so now our whole belief system that we learned is based on the belief in sin. And so the belief that everybody is guilty. Now, of course, in Miracles says that all of that we have learned going from way, 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 way back is a lie. It's not true. Okay. What we learned was that sin is real and that we are guilty, but that was never true. That is not as reality. That is not according to reality. It is not according to the author of reality. According to A Course in Miracles. That's what A Course in Miracles is telling us. That the author of reality, has established reality. The author of the reality is like, this is what reality is. That's what reality is, as the author of reality, God, has established it. And what we learn in A Course in Miracles is that the author of reality, God, established a reality where there is no sin, sin does not exist, and that the creations of God, the children of God, us, are not guilty. That's hard to believe, isn't it? It's hard to believe. But all of our judgments are based unconsciously on this false belief system, this false doctrine that sin and guilt is real. And so you can see why we were saying earlier, that from our judgments come all the ills of the world, all of our suffering, all of our pain. Okay? So you can see here that since we're not the author of reality, and since we have learned wrong about what is the nature of reality, then we should not be the ones to be judging anyone or anything. And that the only thing that we want to be doing, if we want to have greater peace and joy and abundance in our lives, is learning how to set judgment down, lay it down, relinquish judgment. Going, I'm not the author of reality. I don't know what this means, but hey, author of reality, love, what's your judgment? What does this mean? All right. That's what we're learning how to do so that we can have greater peace and love and joy and abundance. Wonderful. Thank you, Greg, for responding to all these folks who are asking such great questions here in the chat. I really appreciate that. Greg is my husband and A Course in Miracles teacher with me, so you can trust what he's saying about A Course in Miracles. And Atma, I love it. She goes, here's a judgment. Nice necklace. Thank you. And here's a judgment, Atma. I love your name. So I love it. Atma Lila as Jamuna. Beautiful. All right. So, okay, guys. So, beautiful. All right. Now, paragraph 3. It says, the aim of our curriculum, thank you. Got another message from our viewer. So, paragraph 3. The aim of this curriculum, A Course in Miracles, unlike the goal of the world's learning, is the recognition that judgment in the usual sense is impossible. So the goal of this course is for you to recognize that judgment in the usual sense by you is impossible. Judgment by me, impossible. Okay? And that's not an opinion, that's a fact. Judgment by you, judgment by me is impossible. I love it how it says this is not an opinion but a fact. Why is that? Why is it that judgment by you or judgment by me, judgment in the usual sense by me and you is impossible? How is it that it's impossible for you and me to judge accurately? How is that impossible for you and me to judge accurately? It's going to tell you. It says, because in order to judge anything rightly, one would have to be fully aware of an inconceivably wide range of things, past, present, and to come. In order to judge accurately, you would have to be aware of, fully aware of, an inconceivably wide range of things, past, present, and to come. Okay? Can you say that about yourself? It says also, the other reason why judgment by you and me really is impossible is because for you and me to judge accurately, we would have to recognize in advance all the effects of our judgments on everyone and everything involved in the situation in any way in order to judge accurately. And also, for you and me to judge accurately anyone or anything, we would have to be certain that there is no distortion in our perception so that our judgments would be wholly fair to everyone on whom our judgment rests now and in the future. Okay. Those are the criteria by which we would be able to judge accurately, which means fairly. All right. Now, let's review that quickly, shall we? In order for us to judge accurately, okay, we would have to be fully aware of a wide range of things, past, present, and to come. We'd have to recognize in advance all the effects of our judgments on everyone and everything involved in the situation in any way. And we'd have to be certain that there was no distortion in our perception so that our judgments would be wholly fair to everyone on whom our judgment rests now or in the future. Okay, now, who is in a position to do that? Are you? Are you in a position to make accurate judgments based on the criteria for an accurate and fair judgment? For you to judge accurately and fairly, you would have to know everything past, present, and to come. You'd have to know all the effects of your judgment on that person, that situation, now and in the future. And you'd have to be certain that there was no distortion, no biases in your perception so that your perception is wholly fair to everybody on whom your judgment rests. Now, could you say that about your judgments? Could anybody say that about their judgments? Who is in a position to judge accurately and fairly like that? Okay, anyone? DR says nope. Good. All right, that was the right answer, DR. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Wonderful. Like DR says, we are limited in perception, to say the least. That's right. And DR says, this section has one of my favorite sentences in the entire book. I'm excited. LOL. That's beautiful. All right. Wonderful. And who, except in grandiose fantasies, would claim that they could judge accurately and fairly everyone and everything in every situation? Who would claim that? Okay, except somebody who was having a grandiose fantasy. And then paragraph 4. It says, remember how many times you thought you knew all the so-called facts that you needed for judgment and how wrong you were? Exclamation point. So, so he's asking us to remember that for a moment. So I want you to remember how many times you thought you knew all the so-called facts of a situation or a person that you were judging. And remember also how many times you found out later that you didn't know all the so-called facts of the matter. Okay, remember that. The author here is asking us to remember that. Remember how many times you thought you knew the so-called facts of the situation and then found out later that you didn't know all the facts, but you sure were judging with certainty as if you did. And he's asking us to remember just how many times that has happened, okay? So that you can be more honest. I love that. Well, it's like, put you in your place, right? So try to remember that also next time you find yourself judging, assuming the right to interpret somebody's reality as you see fit. Next time you find yourself doing that, catch yourself and go, yeah, remember all the times I thought I knew all the so-called facts I needed to judge, and how I learned later that I didn't know all the so-called facts. I didn't know enough to judge. Remember how many times you found out later you were wrong? Okay. Think about that, because the goal here is to stop judging, is to relinquish your addiction, your habit of judging. Why? Because your addiction to judging and your habit of judging, as if you're the author of reality, as if you know enough to judge, that is where the hazards and the dangers and the suffering and the pain in your life is coming from. Don't forget that. Right. That's why you want to learn how to relinquish judgment, remembering that you cannot judge accurately or fairly. And every time you try to, not only are you going to be wrong, but you're going to be setting up hazards and dangers for you on your life path that you will be meeting later that came from your judgments. Because as you judge somebody, what you're doing, what you're saying is secretly to yourself, this is what I believe I deserve. This is how I am judging myself. As you judge them, the Course teaches us, so you judge yourself. Now, your ego doesn't let you know that, and it wants you to just go on judging them all day long, as if you really know the truth about them, right? And so, as you judge their reality as you see fit, as you judge them unfairly, because you don't know all the facts of the matter, you don't know why they did what they did. You don't know what has happened to them and their life to bring them to this place where they are the way they are, did what they did. You don't know that. And unless you know all the facts of the matter that went into what you see in them in that moment, then you cannot judge accurately or fairly. Okay? But so you're not only you're going to be wrong, but you're actually telling yourself that you deserve that judgment. And so now you are going to be attracting that very thing that you're judging. Guess what? That's going to be your future. Okay. Remember that. As you judge them, that is what's going to be your future. So if you say, I just can't believe that they did that, the nerve of them, how ignorant of them, blah, 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 they deserve to suffer, they deserve whatever they get, blah, 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 whatever it is that you are judging them, however it is you're judging them, that is going to be your future. You know, you can you can experience yourself as psychic. You can know what your future is going to be by the kind of judgments that you are making on others right now. Whew, that just gives me the chills. Wow. Exactly. Trisha says, I look at a lady's crazy dress, come to see it was me in the mirror. Exactly. So think about that. If you want to know what your future is going to be like, then take note of the way you are judging people and what you are judging them for. Are you judging them for being lazy? Are you judging them for being stupid? Are you judging them for whatever? But whatever you are judging them for, not only are you going to be wrong, but you're setting that into the future that'll be there waiting for you to fall into or trip over. That'll be a hazard on your path in the future. Whew, and that's why you want to learn how to relinquish judgment. I love it. DR says, I don't want to recycle that garbage. Amen to that. I like what Greg is saying as a practice. Stop ill judgments of others for 3 days and watch and see the contrast of the immediate following days. It's a beautiful practice, quite miraculous. All right. So I love here. Paragraph 4. Remember how many times you thought you knew all the so-called facts you needed to judge someone and how wrong you were? And is there anyone who has not had this experience of thinking, I know exactly why they did that. I know exactly what they did. I know what that was for. I know what they meant. I know why they blah, blah, blah. And then come to find out later, you did not know why they did what they did. Okay? Until you know all that has happened to them in their past, you cannot judge them accurately. So it's not judge not because that's not a good thing to do. It's remember, you really can't judge accurately or fairly. And however you judge them, that's what you're setting up for yourself in the future. So this is a way, learning how to relinquish judgment is a way to create a safe, hazard-free, danger-free future for yourself. That's how A Course in Miracles says you do it. You want to feel safe in the world. You want to set up a gentle path through life where all you meet is loving and helpful friends who are happy to see you. Learn how to relinquish judgment by recognizing that you just don't know enough to judge. You cannot judge. Okay? Now, it says, and would you even know how many times that you merely thought you were right without ever realizing you were wrong? Wow. Right, exactly. Yeah, most of the times. Yeah, would you even know how many times you merely thought you were right without ever realizing you were wrong? Right. There's so many times that I was judging, thinking I was judging right, never realizing that I was wrong. Right. But I certainly did meet that judgment for myself in my own future. It's like, I don't want to be suffering for nothing. I don't want to be suffering for something that I wasn't even right about. It's like, I'm not even right about my judgments, but yet I'm going to suffer for them in the future. It's like, I don't want to suffer for nothing. Do you? I don't want to suffer over something I wasn't even right about. Do you? I don't want to suffer for nothing. I don't want to suffer for something. I don't want to suffer for anything. I certainly don't want to suffer for nothing. I don't want to suffer just because I was wrong. I don't want to suffer just because I wanted to be right when I was wrong. Okay, just hear that. I am suffering because I wanted to be right even when I was wrong. Dang. That does not seem like a good enough reason to suffer. There's no good reason to suffer, but that's certainly, you don't want to suffer for, just because you want to be right. But, Course in Miracles tells us that it asks us a question that would you rather be right when you're wrong, or would you rather be happy? That's the question, right? And that there's a part of us that would rather die and would rather suffer just to be right about our judgments and our grievance, even when we were wrong about our judgments. Isn't that deep? That's the part of us that doesn't love us. Everybody has a part of them that doesn't love them. Everybody has a voice within them, a voice of fear, a voice of guilt that doesn't love you. Everybody has one. Course in Miracles calls it the ego. Some people call it the devil. Some people call it a demon. Some people call it an entity. But suffice it to say that there's a voice in all of us that doesn't love us. It doesn't speak for love. And there's a voice for love within us, a voice that does speak for love for us. And the voice for fear and guilt in us that does not love us and wants us to suffer is the voice that tells us that it would be better to be right and not happy. It would be better to suffer with the desire to be right, even when you're wrong. And the Course in Miracles tells us that you can tell very easily when you're right and when you're wrong in terms of your judgment. And the Course in Miracles tells us that whatever is a loving thought, that's right, that's the truth, that's true. And whatever is an unloving thought, that's wrong, that's inaccurate. The Course in Miracles tells us only the loving thoughts are true, and everything else is a call for love. So if it ain't loving, it ain't true. So if you're trying to be right about something that's not loving, about an unloving thought, that, wherever, that's when you know that you think you're right, but you're really wrong. And what you're doing is you're setting up some future suffering for yourself over something that you weren't even right about. Okay? That's what Course in Miracles is telling us. All right. Naya asks, yin and yang, aren't we always balanced or finding a balance? Well, Naya, A Course in Miracles is different than other spiritual philosophies. A Course in Miracles is a non-dual thought system. And so A Course in Miracles, so the dualistic thought system says that both light and darkness are both real, that love and fear are both real, and that you need both to be balanced. A Course in Miracles does not say that. A Course in Miracles says that between love and fear, light and darkness, only one is true, only one is real. So A Course in Miracles is a non-dualistic thought system that advocates only accepting the one that is true and relinquishing the other. Okay? That makes sense? Great question, Naya. Okay, so great. So it says, remember how many times you thought you knew all the so-called facts you needed for judgment and how wrong you were? Is there anyone who has not had this experience? Would you know how many times you merely thought you were right when you were, without ever realizing you were wrong? Now, then it asks, why would you choose such an arbitrary basis for decision-making, like your judgments? Wisdom is not judgment. Wisdom is the relinquishment of judgment. I love that. So wisdom is not, oh, I am able to judge right from wrong because I am educated, because I'm mature. That's not wisdom. Wisdom is the relinquishment of judgment. Wisdom goes, I am not the author of reality. I'm certainly not, I'm not their author. I didn't create them. So I'm not the author of their reality. I'm not the author of reality. So I can't judge. Okay. That's wisdom. Okay. Wisdom, that's innocence. That's wisdom. Wisdom is not, well, I know enough based on my past, what I've learned from the past, even though what I've learned from the past hasn't made me blissfully happy or abundant. I can use what I've learned from the past to judge accurately and fairly right here. That's not wisdom at all. Wisdom is realizing that you, who are not the author of reality, cannot judge. And so you relinquish judgment and you allow love to interpret through you. That is wisdom. Okay. So since that's wisdom, then the Course says, then make then only one more judgment. Okay. We'll make one more judgment and we'll let judgment go. And that one last judgment that you should make is this: there is someone with you whose judgment is perfectly loving and fair to everyone all the time. And this one who is with you, whose judgment is loving and fair and accurate all the time, this one does know all the facts, past, present, and to come. This one who is with you, love, does know all the effects of its judgment on everyone and everything involved in any way. And this one who is with you is completely wholly fair to everyone, because there is no distortion in this one's perception. Okay. So that's the last judgment that we're being called to make. Just make one last judgment before you give up all judgment. And it is this: there is one within me, with me, whose judgment is always fair. It is always loving for everyone involved in this situation. And this one who is with me, there is no distortion, which means fear, in its perceptions, which means its judgment. That's the one last judgment that you should ever make. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Naya. I appreciate that. Naya says, I feel like a dance in the shadows is necessary for ascension. Wisdom is a great thing. Amen. And Naya, I honor your wisdom too, that you are choosing to share with the collective as well. Absolutely. So good. All right. Yeah. And the Course in Miracles is not saying to not look at the darkness, to not acknowledge the darkness that you have made. You know, it's not, the Course in Miracles is not about repressing or suppressing or denying the darkness that we have made that we think is real. The Course in Miracles is just telling us that the way to ascend or transcend the darkness, the fear, the ego, the devil, whatever you want to call it, is to remember it's not true. It's not real. So it's not like I'm going to suppress or repress or deny or hide the darkness that I have believed is true. The Course in Miracles is just telling us to go, only love is real. Only love is true. Only the loving thoughts are true and real. And the darkness, the fear, the guilt, the shame, the pain, the suffering, that is not the truth about your being or their being. It's just a call for love. Okay. So that's what Course in Miracles is telling us. Thank you. All right. Okay. Beautiful. Okay, so that was an important part. So make one last judgment, and it is this: there is one with you whose judgment is always fair and loving to everyone in that situation all the time. And this one who is with you, in its perception, in its judgment, there is no distortion from fear, guilt, or sin. Okay, so that's good to know that I don't need to judge anything, but there is one with me whose judgment is always loving and fair to everyone in the situation. I can't be fair to everyone in the situation because I am, because there's something that I want, so my judgment is biased, right? Now, hi Irene, lovely to see you. Sorry guys that I wasn't able to turn on the Facebook page class until about 15 minutes in. So sorry about that. You may want to rewind. Yes, beautiful. Okay, great. I love what Greg is saying. It's great to hear that although I cannot judge situations as people as I see fit, but that I'm not without access to right judgment, as there is one with me now that does know the right answer, that does judge. To judge accurately means to judge wholly lovingly and wholly fairly to everyone in that situation. And can you honestly say that you can do that? Can you honestly say, I can honestly and accurately and fairly judge everyone in this situation? Who, except in grandiose fantasies, would say that? But good news, there is one with you who can do that. And you always have access to that. So you don't need to try to judge so that you can prove that you know what you're talking about and you're wise and you're smart. You don't need to do that. That's not wisdom, right? Wisdom is going, I don't know enough to judge. I'm not the author of reality, but the voice for the author of reality is with me, and it can judge everyone and everything fairly and only lovingly in this situation. So I'm going to call on that. Okay. And when you call on that voice within you, the voice for love, the loving judge within you that only judges lovingly and fairly to everyone involved, then that's when miracles, and I mean miracles that transcend the laws of space and time, come through you, filling your world with blessings of abundance and joy and grace and fun and support and loving relationships. So then in paragraph 5, it says, given all that, lay down your judgments. Lay them down. And don't lay down your judgments with regret, but lay your judgments down with a sigh of gratitude. Whew. Thank you, love. And so lay down your judgments not with regret, but with a sigh of gratitude. Why a sigh of gratitude? Lay your judgments down with a sigh of gratitude, because when you lay down your judgments, you are free of a burden that was so great that all you could do was merely stagger and fall down beneath it. Whoo-wee. That is how heavy and burdensome our judgments are. Our judgments make for an extremely heavy burden that you carry on your back. And it's so heavy that you can merely stagger and fall down beneath that burden of your judgments on your back. That's what your burdens make for you. A heavy burden on your back that's so heavy that you're all you can do is stagger and fall down beneath that burden. That's heavy. That's heavy. Now you know why you see people walking around like this, right? Because they got a big heavy burden on their back called their judgments that they're wrong about, but yet they're still suffering for. say, I don't want to suffer for nothing. I don't want to like be wrong about my judgments and then meet my judgments later and suffer for them. I don't want to do that. I don't want to suffer at all, but I certainly don't want to suffer for a judgment that never was true anyway. So this is motivating for me. So lay down your judgments, not with a sigh of regret, but a sigh of gratitude, because now you are free of a burden that was so heavy that you have been staggering and falling down beneath for too long. And that big old burden of judgments that you've been carrying on your back, it was all illusion, nothing more. All those judgments about others that were unloving and unfair, that were wrong, all of them, and the heavy burden that made on your life, it was all an illusion, nothing more. But now that you have relinquished your judgments, now that you have recognized that you cannot judge, now you, teacher of love, you can rise up unburdened and walk lightly on. Whew, doesn't that sound great? Doesn't that sound wonderful? Think about the burdens you feel in your life right now. What do you feel burdened by? What do you feel like is a heavy burden that you feel like you're staggering and falling down underneath? Well, you may think it's finances, or you may think it's mental illness, or you may think it's the responsibilities that are heavy. But the truth is that the burden that you're really carrying is the burden of your own judgments that you are making when you really cannot judge accurately and fairly everyone and everything and the situations in your life. That's the burden that is so heavy that you're staggering and falling beneath. It's not money. It's not responsibilities. It's not relationships. It's not health challenges. It's not that we live in such a crazy, toxic world. It's your own judgments that are making that have become a burden that on your back that you are carrying. Wow. And so when you relinquish judgments by recognizing really that you cannot judge, you don't know all the so-called facts enough to judge accurately and fairly everyone and everything, then what happens is you rise up in your life, you rise up unburdened, and you walk lightly on. So beautiful. Yet it is not only this that is your benefit. So if that benefit wasn't enough, that you dropped that heavy burden off your back and you're able to rise up straight back and walk lightly on in your life, if that benefit was not enough, here's what also is your benefit for learning how to relinquish judgment. When you relinquish judgment, your sense of care is gone because you don't have any sense of care anymore. Wow. Doesn't that sound nice? That's quite the benefit for relinquishing judgment. And it says, what happened to that sense of care that is now gone? Well, you gave away that sense of care, all that concern. You gave away all that heavy, fearful concern. You gave it away along with the judgment that you relinquished. And the reason that your sense of care and concern is gone is because you gave yourself to the one whose judgment you have chosen now to trust instead of your own judgment. That is what happened to all your cares and your concerns that were weighing so heavily on your mind. You gave away all that care and concern when you gave yourself to the one who is with you, whose judgment you have now chosen to trust instead of your own. Now that you have given yourself to the one who is with you, whose judgment you have chosen now to trust, now you don't make any mistakes because your guide is sure. And so now, where you used to come to judge, now you come to bless. And now you laugh where you used to come to weep, because you gave away your judgment for the loving judgment of the one who is with you, who judges only lovingly for all. I love it. So now, since you did all that, now since you relinquished judgment to the one who's with you, who does know how to judge everyone lovingly and fairly all the time, now where it was you used to come to judge others, now you come to them to bless them. Where you used to be judging people all the time, this is how you should be, this is what you should be doing, this is what should be happening, this is the way it should be, this is how you need to change for me to be happy, this is what you're doing wrong, this is what you should be doing. Where you used to judge others, where you used to interpret their reality as you see fit, and you used to analyze their motivations, thinking you know why they did what they did, where you used to judge them, now all you do with others is bless them. Thank you for this. That's so wonderful. That's so great. Thank you for that. I really appreciate that. That's so beautiful. That's amazing. Good job. Wonderful. Where you used to judge people and make yourself separate and angry and alone, now you bless people. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. Where you used to tell people how it should be and what they should be doing and what it all really means and how they are wrong and what they should be doing, now all you're doing is blessing them. And now you're not creating a deeper sense of loneliness and separateness for yourself. Okay. Big improvement. And that all came with your decision to relinquish and lay down your judgment. And remember that there is one within you whose judgments are always loving and fair for everyone. And you've given over, you've relinquished your judgment to that one who is with you. Beautiful. Love it. Naya says, oh, free-spirited, blessed joy. Yes, love that. Exactly. DR says, that was the favorite sentence, where now he laughs, he used to come to weep. That's right. That's right. Where you used to be weeping, you know what happens when you tell people what they're doing wrong and what they should be doing and how they need to change for you to be happy. What happened? Did what happened after that cause you laughter and joy and peace and abundance and greater oneness? Hell no. When you were judging people, when you're telling people what they're doing wrong, how they need to change for you to be happy, what they should be doing, and you're judging everything they do as if you're saying that's right, that's wrong about what you're doing. When that's what you're doing to people, people don't feel loved, but they want to separate from you. And so what comes from your judgment is not laughter and joy and more oneness and more unity and more abundance and more fun. No. What happens is you feel more and more separate and lonely. And you ain't laughing, you're crying. You're crying in your beer, right? So where it is that you used to come to judge and then weep, Now you come to bless them and to laugh. Okay. I love it. And I don't know about you, but that sounds like a big improvement. It's like, tell me what I need to do for that. Because I'm tired of all the weeping and all the anger and the sadness and the loneliness and the sense of separation from everyone and everything. And to think that all of that loneliness and separation and fear and guilt and anger and heartache and hurt, to think that that all came from our judgments. You know, it's like, I thought all my suffering came from out there, them who were not acting like I thought they should be acting. And I thought that they would be happy that I was telling them how they were doing it wrong and how they should do it right for me. Right. But they didn't appreciate it, did they? They just wanted to get the hell away from you. So now we're learning what to do differently. We're learning how to unburden ourselves from that addiction to judging others as if we know the truth about them. We are unburdening ourselves from that addiction, an addiction to suffering and being wrong. It's like, keep coming back to that. It's like, I don't want to be wrong and suffer, right? But that's the way it is. If you insist on being right and judging, even when you don't know all the facts of the matter, then you not only are going to be wrong, but you're causing, you're adding to the burden, heavy burden on your back that you can barely carry, that you can only stumble and fall beneath. I love it. DR says definitely an upgrade. Awesome. Wonderful. And while I'm thinking about it, guys, it's almost time. While I'm thinking about it, if you're enjoying this, please like, share, and subscribe. When you like, share, and subscribe, it lets the algorithm know that these ideas are valued by people, and it pushes this video out to more people. And so every time you like, share, and subscribe, it's letting the algorithm, it's pushing this idea out into the world more. And so you're helping the world. When you like, share, and subscribe, you are literally ensuring that somebody in the world hears these ideas. You're increasing the chances that somebody in the world who hasn't heard these loving, healing ideas hears them and gets to experience the miracle of healing and release that these ideas bring. So thank you for liking, sharing, and subscribing. And if you want to support this ministry, then you can, if you're watching on YouTube, you can do a super chat. That's one way to do it. And if you're watching on Facebook, then just share it on your feed. Okay. All right. So I'm just going to finish up. There's just one more paragraph, and then we're going to do a closing integration meditation where we take the ideas and use them and apply them to whatever we've got going on in our lives. All right. All right. I love the integration meditation. It feels so good to just close your eyes and then just use the ideas, because it's in the using of the ideas that you go, well, dang, that was true. That worked. Oh my God. Something that actually worked. All right. Last paragraph. Are you ready? We're in the home stretch and you guys are doing great. Doing great. I see my truth troopers have hung in there. Oh, I love it. Thank you. Thank you, Naya. She says, your teachings are your efforts to bless us. I sometimes forget how lost I get in the meta. It's really a burden sometimes. Embracing connectivity. Weird how the world works this day and age. Thank you. Thanks, Anna. Sweet dreams. Thank you to you, Naya, for the same. Absolutely. Now, last paragraph. It's not difficult to relinquish judgment, but it is difficult indeed to try to keep judgment. That is for sure, right? It's not difficult to let judgment go. It's but it is difficult indeed to try to keep judgment. Okay, you got to work at it because your judgments are wrong. So to keep an idea that's wrong, you're going to have to work at it, right? To believe in an illusion, to promote and maintain an illusion, you got to work at it. To maintain a lie, you got to put some effort into it. You got to work at it. So to let what's not true go is easy. To hold on to a lie, judgment, is difficult indeed. Remember that. Now, the teachers of love, they lay judgment down happily the instant that they recognize the cost of their judgments. The instant you recognize the cost of your judgments, you happily go, woo, goodbye. You happily lay it down. So if you are having trouble letting go of that judgment, that grievance, if you're like, oh, I can't, it's so hard to let go of this grievance. It's so hard. I can't let it go. If you are having trouble letting go of your judgment, letting go of your grievance, it is only because you do not recognize yet the cost to you of that grievance, of that judgment. Okay? You haven't recognized yet what a hazard it is to you. You don't recognize the dangers to you of holding that grievance, holding that judgment. Okay? Now, but the second that you recognize the cost that you are paying in holding that grievance, that judgment, you happily let it go. You drop it. Now, what is the cost of holding on to that judgment, which is also your grievance? What is the cost? Let's review the cost, shall we? Just in case there's still some judgment or grievance that you think is still too difficult to let go of. Let's review the cost of the grievance and the judgment that you're holding against someone. You ready? Okay. Here's the cost of holding the grievance and the judgment. All of the ugliness you see around you is the outcome of your judgments, your grievances. But not only that, all of the pain you look upon is the result of your judgments and your grievances. And all of the loneliness and all of the sense of loss and all the sense of passing time and growing hopelessness and all of the sickening despair and all of your fear of death, they have all come from your judgments, from holding on to your judgments and holding on to your grievances. But now you know that none of these things, none of these costs need be. Now you know that all of the pain and the suffering and the loneliness and the sense of loss and the sickening despair and the growing hopelessness and all the fear of death and all the pain and all the ugliness you see around you, now you know that these things need not be, because not one of them is true. Not one of them is real. Not one of them represents reality. Not one. Because now you realize that none of those need be, the ugliness, the despair, the fear of death, the sickness, not one of them is true, because you have given up their cause. And they, all the costs that we just mentioned, they, which never were true, were but the effects of your mistaken choice, and they have fallen from you. Teacher of love, this step of relinquishing your judgments and your grievances will bring you peace. Now, can it be difficult to want only peace? Can it be difficult to want only peace? All right. Well, there you go. I love it. Greg says, such is the cost of ill judgment. That's right. That's quite the heavy cost, you know. And I love it how it says The only reason that you find it difficult to let go of your judgments and your grievances is because you do not see the cost you are paying for your grievances. And the instant you see the cost to you of holding on to that grievance and that judgment, you will happily let that grievance and that judgment go. Instantly drop it, let it go happily, happily. So if you still have some grievances and some judgments right now that you tell yourself are very difficult to let go of, then I want you to review again this list of the cost you're paying to holding that grievance and that judgment. And then ask yourself again if that's what you really want. Ask yourself if it's really worth it, even when that grievance and that judgment isn't true. And we know that grievance and judgment isn't true because it's not loving, right? Not only is it not accurate because it's not wholly fair to everyone involved, not only is it not accurate because you don't know everything you need to know to judge fairly, but it's not loving. And so it's not true. Okay. So just remember that, what the cost is, and review that last paragraph when you're feeling like, oh, it's so hard to let go of this grievance. I can't let go of this grievance. Nobody could let go of this grievance who had a grievance like I have. Okay. You think it's difficult to let go of that grievance only because you don't know the cost that you are paying. You haven't put together all the loneliness and the despair and the ugliness that you're experiencing is the result of that grievance and that judgment that you are holding. So, wonderful thing to do if you are feeling like you've got some grievances and judgments right now that, that you've been trying to let go of, but you can't. Okay. We just heard why you can't. It's not like it's not difficult to let go of that grievance or that judgment. It isn't difficult. As a matter of fact, what's difficult is to hold that grievance and that judgment. That's the hard part. Like the Course says, if you want the judgment and the grievance to be true, you're going to have to make it true. You're going to have to expend effort because it's not true, right? Same thing with a lie. If you're going to maintain a lie, you got to work at it. It's not easy to maintain a lie, right? Everybody knows that. You got to remember all the details. You got to be very consistent. You got to keep that lie to your heart and tell it to yourself over and over to make sure that you keep it straight and you don't forget it. Okay. It's not difficult to let go of a grievance or a judgment, especially when it's hurting you, only you. But it is difficult to hold it to your heart while it's hurting you. And one of my favorite quotes, I don't know who it's from, I don't know who said it, but is that a grievance, anger, is like drinking poison, hoping the other person will die. Okay. Same thing with grievances and judgments. Okay. All right, guys. So wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining and watching. Thank you for liking, sharing, subscribing. Thanks for a super chat or whatever that you do. And thank you for all of that. I so appreciate that. Thank you, Greg, for also being on Facebook as well. And don't forget, my book is available on Amazon, Declaration of Independence for the New Earth. It's a very inspiring, it's for the teachers of love. It's for those who have decided to take their place among the healers of the world, to inspire them, to inspire you, and encourage you as you take your place among the healers of the world. Okay? The world is in deep need of healing. Wouldn't you agree? And Course in Miracles is one wonderful way to take your part in the healing of humanity. And this has that purpose as well. All right. So great. So what we're going to do now is I'm just going to do a few minutes of an integration meditation where we take the ideas, close our eyes, and we are going to use them in a meditation. We're going to apply them to whatever we've got going on in our life right now so that we can experience ourselves rising up from a burden that we have been stumbling and staggering beneath, so that we can rise up and walk lightly and freely on in our lives and experience all the joy and abundance and freedom of that you experience in reality with reality. Okay. All right. And thank you, Carolina. Thank you, my dear. All right. And Greg says, where can the book be found? Oh, yes, on Amazon. My book can be found on Amazon. So just put in Declaration of Independence for the New Earth, Anna Rebecca Quinn, and you will find it on Amazon. All right. Okay, guys. So now, if you're not driving and you're able to, I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes and take a breath. And just notice how you feel right now. Just notice how you feel right now, having heard these ideas. Just take a breath. Tune your awareness inward. How do these ideas feel in your heart, your mind, your body? How does it feel to have heard these ideas in the company of other mighty companions who also desire healing of their minds and hearts and their lives? For a moment, notice how it feels even to just entertain the idea of relinquishing your judgments that have been burdening you, hurting you. How does it feel just hearing that it's possible to be unburdened by these heavy, heavy grievances? How does it feel to even hear that it's possible to be free of all the ugliness you see around you, and the pain and the loneliness and the sense of loss, sense of growing hopelessness, sickening despair and fear of death? How does it feel to even hear the idea that you could be free of that burden on your mind, on your heart, on your body? And I want you to notice how your heart and your mind and your body feels right now as you contemplate the idea of relinquishing, letting go that burden off of your heart and mind and body. I want you to imagine yourself dropping that burden that you've been staggering beneath. And I want you to imagine yourself walking lightly on, walking lightly forward from that point, this point now, lightly, where you feel light. Beautiful. Now, I want you to bring to your awareness a situation or a relationship right now where you are experiencing a grievance, or a judgment that has felt like a burden, like it feels like it's been heavy on your mind and on your heart, that obviously would also be heavy on your body. Where is it that you're experiencing a sense of being burdened? Where is it that you're experiencing in your life right now ugliness or loneliness or pain or a sense of loss or growing hopelessness or sickening despair? Or where is it you are experiencing a fear of death? Where is it in your life where you may be feeling any of those things? Bring that to your awareness. And take a breath. Now I want you to tell yourself the truth that we heard in this section, and I want you to say to yourself, all these feelings, the pain, the loneliness, the ugliness, all of these feelings, all of these experiences are coming from my judgments in a situation or relationship where I really could not judge accurately or fairly. This is all coming from my judgments. And take a breath. And now I want you to tell yourself, now I know that none of these feelings need be. Because not one of these feelings of loneliness or sickening despair or growing despair, none of them need be, because not one of them is true. Not one of these feelings are true. Not one of these negative, burdensome, hurtful feelings are true. Not one of these feelings are true. And so now I know that they need not be, because not one of them is true. Tell yourself, I've given up the cause of all of these negative emotions. I've given up their cause, which was my mistaken choice. And now I want you to tell yourself, I just remembered, all I want is peace. I don't want to be right when I'm wrong. I don't want to judge when I don't know all the facts. And I can't judge fully fairly. I don't want to judge. I don't want to be right. I just want peace. I just remembered. I don't want to be right when I'm wrong. I don't want to be right when I'm wrong and suffer as a result. I just want peace. And once you have decided that all you want is peace, you don't want to be right when you're wrong, then now it's the easiest thing in the world to drop that grievance, to drop that judgment. I don't want it anymore. It's not true, and it's hurting me. And all I want is peace. All I want is peace. And so I remember that there is one who is with me now, whose judgment is always loving, it's always fair, and it's always true. And so I give to this one within me, Spirit, Spirit, I relinquish my judgment and I ask for yours. Spirit, what's your judgment of this person, this situation? What do you say about this person you love, who can judge this person only lovingly and only fairly? What's your perception of them, of the situation? And love, I ask you to decide for me. What does it mean? What's it for? What's the truth? Beautiful. All right, guys. Awesome. What an amazing section. And you guys are so amazing. I so appreciate you being here and being active and sharing and asking questions. It's just wonderful. Truly, these classes are co-creations where we are allowing ourselves to be healed by truth together. These such beautiful co-creations. And I wanted to tell you also that I have a new website. And in my new website is where I'm loading in my blog all my new writings. So go check out my website. It's Divine Revolution ARQ, and check it out. And there's a place for you to be a member. I'm still working out some details, but there's a way to purchase my book there. You can become a member of the website if you want to have content that's not being shared publicly, or if you just want to support this ministry. And also, it's a place to partake of my latest writings, which are my inspirations from spirit, my healing writings, where I bring my ego to spirit, ask for love judgment, and then I receive it. That's what a lot of my writings are about. So they're my practical applications of the truth to my ego and spirit's answers. So anyway, I appreciate you all more than I can say. And I'll see you next time I see you.